hackathon are driven by passion. Hackathons are driven by emotions. You would not find an employee being part of hackathon because, his boss or his or her boss told him, right? No. It happens because you really feel something. You really have passion about something. You are excited about something. You want to make this world a better place.
Ideas, by definition, are always fragile.
No tolerance for failure, no innovation.
The best ideas have to win.
This is the Synthesize Pod from Bright Idea. It's your weekly hit of insights and actionable strategies for innovation-minded professionals that just want to get shit done. Welcome to Season 1, Just Say Hackathon.
Hey everyone, we're here today with Margaret and Pritesh. You guys want to say hello?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
And once again, we're going to be talking about hackathons. So Pritesh is he's sporting his swag there, as you can tell. Was dubbed the Angel of Hackathons a moment ago in our pregame. So maybe we'll get into that in a second. But Pritesh, I figure we just jump right in. And what I always love to hear about is kind of how people got to where they are. How they got on this track. What were they doing before? How did they get into this innovation role? How did they, get into hackathons specifically? And why did the business think the hackathons were an important thing? So you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so thank you, Matt, and thank you, Margaret. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Pritesh. I work as a director of innovation and patents at Lookout. Lookout is a cloud security company based out of Bay Area, and we've been in this business for about 10 to 15 years. We are also a leader in mobile security. I've been with Lookout for 3 years. Before Lookout, I was at Red Hat, which was acquired by IBM in 2019. So I was there for about 6 years working as an in-house patent agent, right? Working on patent law, patent portfolio management. And before Red Hat/IBM, I was with General Electric, GE, for 5 years in Virginia from 2011 to 2015. Before that, I worked for a legal firm, CPA Global in Washington, D.C. And then I also worked as an R&D engineer in Atlanta. So a lot of exciting career in innovation and a lot of exciting career path I have had in being fortunate, right? Very fortunate to be part of this journey.
So let's add a bit more color on that. So Lookout, your typical customer is a Global 2000 enterprise customer, and they're...
Yes, mostly enterprise.
What are they worried about? Just like hacking threats? What's just give some color to what your customer looks like.
So we have two sets of products called Mobile Enterprise Security, MES, and the other space we play in is SASE, Secure Access Service Edge. Mobile Enterprise Security is your cell phone, basically providing cell phone security. Phishing happens a lot through cell phones. Significant percentage of phishing actually starts from cell phone. So cell phone mobile enterprise security, and the other is Secure Access Service Edge that has number of small components to it, which is Cloud Access Security Broker or CASB, and SWIG, Secure Web Gateway. And then we also have a DLP offering. We have a number of other small components within SASE that we play in. Truly exciting to be part of a cybersecurity industry.
And the size of the company, how big are you guys?
So we are about 500-ish people. We had our consumer division that we sold it to another company a few years back, actually last year, and focusing completely on enterprise at this point. So purely enterprise play, no consumer play.
And then without getting into anything proprietary, you've been working in the patents area. What's a good patent for you guys? Is it, coming up with a new way to detect phishing? Is it something AI related, or what's something maybe you guys patented in the past or that was, good for the company?
Yeah, so actually all of those, right? Novel algorithm, how to detect phishing. You have a set of email. Sometimes it's very easy to see, this is a phishing email, but sometimes it's not, and you have to run through algorithms. So those proprietary algorithms are part of our patents. There are a lot of privacy managing mechanism that we have patents on. There are a lot of mobile security patterns and aspects of how geolocation come into picture and what information do we want to share, and do we want to share this information via an IP address, part of zero trust, right? A lot of different things. Lookout, a relatively small company, but we still have a significant patent portfolio, about 200 to 250 patents, which is significant. So we focus a lot on innovation. Innovation is in our DNA, even though we are a small company, but very heavy engineering focus, cutting edge R&D, significant investment in research and development. So we want to make sure that we protect our investment in the form of patents and other intellectual property protection. Honestly, if you are in a high-tech company, you live and die by innovation, to be honest, right? So you have to have innovation completely as part of our DNA, and so for us as well.
And what was the difference between, I'm really interested in, you worked at some very large companies, right? IBM is huge, but known to be pretty innovative, and Red Hat as well, right?
Yes.
And so what's the difference now from moving from larger enterprises to a smaller company that is serving large enterprises, and the relationship of innovation across large teams and small teams?
A very interesting question, Margaret. And, you know, all the companies I've worked for, again, extremely fortunate that every company I've worked for, I've been very happy, very excited. And it has, you know, General Electric, again, a great company, IBM, Red Hat, great companies. Different companies have different strengths and weaknesses. Some areas they are really good in. Some areas, because of size, shape, structure, right, they have a different set of challenges. For example, right, large companies, IBM, GE, things move slowly, right? You get approvals relatively slowly, which at a company like Lookout, it happens very fast. Most of my approvals happens on Slack, right? On anything that I want to do, right? It is like, hey, I want to do this. Can I do this? Or we want to launch this, or we are working on this, or let's start on this project, right? Whatever, like most of the decisions happens very quickly. A lot of decision is taken on Slack, a lot of conversation. Oh, well, I don't think that holds true for IBMs and General Electrics, right? Different market, different structure, right? Different stakes, and hence there are different challenges. But again, General Electric, IBM, Red Hat, great companies, fortunate to be part of, and so is Lookout. It actually caters to my desire of being passionate. It satisfies my, my need of being innovative, working every second on innovation all the time. So it's satisfying to be part of this great company.
Yeah, I've got one other follow-up question on your backstory. Is so you said at some point you were this R&D engineer, and now you're kind of like, a champion for innovation. Where, just walk us through the mechanics of that. Were you like, hey, what's going on with this patent process? Or, hey, how did you get there to a place where you were doing innovation 24/7?
Very interesting story, and it's an accident, to be honest, right? So I graduated from Villanova, Pennsylvania, master's in mechanical engineering. I was presenting a paper when I was working on my thesis. It was a naval project, Office of Naval ONR, Office of Naval Research project. And I went for a presentation, and I gave my presentation at a conference, and this gentleman standing near the podium is like, hey, we are an R&D company based out of Atlanta, Georgia, and we are doing very similar stuff. You care to join us? And I'm like, sure, right? Why not, right? As a graduate, right? Young graduate, eager to learn.
Sorry, was this you had just finished undergrad, or you finished master's?
The master's in engineering. So I was working on my thesis, right? And the presentation was on on a project related to my thesis.
Okay.
So I joined this R&D company based out of Atlanta. 5 or 6 people. They were working on cutting edge projects for NASA, Navy, government organizations. I was the only non-PhD employee. Everyone else was a PhD from MITs and Georgia Techs, right? So least qualified, to be honest, right? I was just being a master's in engineering, big deal.
Sorry to interrupt, but the project that they saw, what was that project? What did he see that you presented, just at a high level?
So this was my thesis topic was dynamics and linear time varying controls of unmanned surface vehicles. So we were working on developing algorithms for unmanned ships. You have seen unmanned cars, right?
Sure.
But most of the times, unmanned cars have 2 degrees of freedom, right? Either they go straight, right? Either it has to control all left and right.
Yep.
Most of the times, it does not have to control the up and down motion.
Yep.
And that adds third dynamic to the ship mechanism, because now in an unmanned ship, you have to control surge, sway, and heave, right? These are the ship terms for surge, sway, and heave, right? The 6 degrees of freedom that unmanned mechanism has to control. And this R&D company in Atlanta found that aspect to be very interesting, and I was fortunate to apply some part of it in my project at Global Tech, right? That was the first company that I worked for. But one fine morning, right, while we were working on a project for NASA, this was battery prognostic diagnostics, my boss stopped by my desk and was like, "Hey, newbie, we have a compliance from NASA that we have to file for a patent and look into it." And like, I was young, 20-year-old, ready to win the world. Like, yeah, whatever, I'll take it, right? So what? And then I started looking into it, and I'm like, man, this is very interesting. I really like patents. Turns out I learned during my research phase that if you appear for patent bar in the United States, you can practice patent law. It's a tough exam, few thousand pages books called Manual of Patent Examination Procedure. So I studied that book, took some courses, and then appeared for patent bar, passed patent bar exam, and then could practice patent law. So after that, I was
So you can do that without even going to law school? You can just study that?
You can do that,
Wow.
yeah. But
Wow.
you cannot practice commercial law or tax law or any other law, right? But you can practice only patent law only at USPTO, which is United States Patent and Trademark Office. You cannot litigate in court because you don't have a state bar.
Right.
But you can practice patent law at the USPTO.
Okay.
So, yeah. And then I was hired by a legal firm in Alexandria, Virginia, very close to Washington, D.C. Then I was hired in-house patent agent by General Electric and then IBM and so on.
You've really spent as much time in kind of the legal side of it as you have as, the engineering side of it per se.
Yes, I would say I've been fortunate to have managed and see both the fun aspects of legal, and this is, I would say, good side of law, right? Intellectual property law, patent law is really, really the most interesting and the good side and make world better place kind of law.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I have a question. I mean, it feels like those are two disparate types of work to do R&D engineering versus patent work. Is there similarities that I'm not thinking about in those two types of work? Like what pieces of your brain get activated in both of those work streams?
They are cousins, first cousins to be precise. Right. So let's elaborate, right? You have companies invest into research and development, invest millions, sometimes potentially billions of dollars, specifically if you're talking of large companies. If they do not protect or file patents on that intellectual property, it could potentially be stolen, right? We all have seen the Apple versus Samsung iPhone patent litigation, right? So intellectual properties can be stolen and are stolen all the time. So companies tend to file patents specifically on the most important aspects of their research and development. But then it comes with innovation, right? It comes with new thinking. It comes with new projects. You have new projects, you invest more into R&D, and then whatever intellectual property you're talking about, source codes, and you're talking about novel mechanism, right? There are 4 aspects of intellectual property: patent, trademark, copy law, and trade secret, right? So a lot of different aspects are being produced when you invest into research and development, and companies want to make sure that they want to rightly protect that intellectual property. So that's where the patents aspect come into picture. Innovation, as I said, is first cousin of patents. Innovation also involves working with engineers on projects that may or may not eventually convert into patents. And that's okay, right? Innovation the mindset is more or less same, but a lot of time patents are filed purely for defensive purposes. Patents are filed. You don't need testing code, model, prototype, implementation necessarily to file for a patent, as long as you have an idea and there's a reasonable technical chance that it can work, right? You can file for a patent. But that's conversation for a different day. But at Lookout, right, I was hired as a director of patent, and, it turned out that there was equally strong need for running innovation program. And then very soon I was given responsibility of running innovation program as well. So that's how, since they are first cousins, very close, similar mindset, thought process, and Bright Idea, that's where it comes into picture, because initially I was anticipating Bright Idea more to be an idea management tool for patent ideas, but then it converted and changed for me into a hackathon management tool, which I was looking into as well.
Were you already doing patent disclosure with like an idea management tool?
Yeah, so I was doing patent management disclosure, but at other companies. At Lookout, we mostly had spreadsheets and Google Drives and all of that. So we thought that, well, geez, we need to get an idea management tool because it's getting too much work, right? That management, follow-up, tracking, all of that. So the initial goal of onboarding a Bright Idea was in anticipation of that this will be a good patent management tool, but turns out that along with patent disclosure management tool, it served as a purpose of a hackathon management tool as well, equally good.
And I'm curious where that came along. I mean, the need to run a hackathon bubble up. I'd be surprised if it bubbled up in the legal department. Did it come from someone else saying we need to run a hackathon, and then you said, hey, we could probably use this tool for that? Or how did those paths intersect?
Yeah, so very interesting. Now, other companies I've worked reported to the legal department. Here I'm reporting to the product department because the patents, because it's a lot about technology, so it's run by the product team as well because it's patents related to products.
Yep.
So when I went to the research and development, the head of engineering is like, hey guys, we need to file for patents. We're investing so much into R&D. He's like, yeah, patents are good, but we also need to focus on innovation. And this happened right around, and this is a very interesting segue to the need for Bright Idea and how it fulfilled for Hackathon. So this was, there was a dip in innovation activity, obviously, because of pandemic. Hackathons, we have had, like Lookout had hackathons before, but most of the hackathons that Lookout had in past before 2020 were in person or mostly in person, right? And that was the nature of the hackathon pre-pandemic. Pandemic changed things, including hackathon. Most of the employees were remote, and there was a need for a system, a mechanism to have hackathons online, all remote most of the times, right? So I did run one hackathon in 2021 or 22, and that was using spreadsheets and Google Drives. And boy, that was a pain. Right, and I can narrate all the problems when we reach there on hackathons, but it involves so much work, so much follow up. Really drives, specifically if one person is doing all of this, it really drives you crazy because I could not sleep for 2 nights during the hackathon, right? Like zero sleep, right? Because if there was constant follow ups and things to be taken care of. And this hackathon I had a very good night's sleep for 8 hours.
That's a great tagline.
What, so this stuff you're doing overnight, just curious, was it like people saying, oh, I'm changing teams or we're stopping this project?
Oh, like 20 or 30 different things all at the same time. Hey, things like my video is 5 minutes to 6. You have asked for a 5-minute video. I have 6.5 minutes a video. Can you help me trim it? Or I'm changing my teams, or can you merge it? This guy and this guy, we have the same idea. Can you merge it, right? And, I think we already addressed this idea 4 years back, but I cannot follow up and things like, right? There are like so many things constantly, right? My Slack channel and email channel, and then senior leadership is asking for feedbacks and updates and things like that. So, and it's constant, right? We had at that time 200-300 people participating in Hackathon, and you could imagine, right? Wow. So many questions all the time. Yep. So I was not only running a hackathon all by myself, but I was also acting as a live support for hackathon questions because every minute is important.
Yep.
Right? You cannot leave questions unanswered around the clock, right? Because we have teams sitting in India, we have teams sitting in Europe, and of course, United States, right? So they are working in India time, but I have to be awake to answer those questions all the time.
Yep. And did you kind of rotate the start time? Like, did it start at like noon in each of these time zones, or how did
8 a.m. in each of these time zones, right?
Okay. That's when they 24 hours or 48 hours? How long was the?
Yeah, 2 days. 2 days. 2.5 days roughly.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, different companies have different time zones and different frames of hackathons. Some companies allow for 1 week, some even for 1 month, some for 2 days, right? So we had structure given the set of resources and challenges. We have had it for 2 weeks, 2 days hackathon.
And in terms of like how you scoped this, could they work on any project they wanted? Was there a theme to kind of give some guidance? How much top down versus bottoms up was there in terms of the focus area?
So both, right? It was both top down and bottom up. And allow me to elaborate how, right? So you can work on any of the idea, but it would be great if you can work on some of the themes. However, if you have an idea which is outside of this theme, it's not like that we are going to stop you. Like, no, don't do that. So it was top down, work on any idea, but it would be great if we can have ideas on generative AI, because this is where our organization is focusing on, or things like that.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense.
It sounds like hackathons were fairly well established in their previous format of in-person, and that there was, I imagine, executive buy-in or even championship of hackathons within the organization. Did you have to come up against any difficult executive conversations around moving it to virtual or running these at a certain cadence? Did you have any discussions, or has it been smooth sailing in terms of approvals for hackathons?
So funnily, it was the other way around, right? Because the entire organization moved remotely, and they're like, hey, we have to run a remote hackathon. And I'm like, really, right? Can this be even done, right? Because I was skeptical. Because, virtual hackathons is very challenging, if not unheard of. So, but we did it. And every year there has been, like, we did 2 or 3 or 4 hackathons in last 2 days after pandemic. And every hackathon since then has been learning, and we are coming up with some exciting new projects. In fact, we launched our generative AI capabilities or Lookout sale because it was part of several hackathon projects, and that eventually converted into a Lookout product called Sale. It's our own generative AI product.
Sorry, it's Lookout Sale, SALE?
SAIL.
Okay, and what does that do?
So Sale is dashboard, a platform where if you are an IT support person, right, you can simply ask how many of the devices within my fleet are vulnerable, for example.
Okay.
Right, very simple. Now, previously, can it be done previously? Sure, but then you have to go to the dashboard and click this, and then drop down menu and select this, right? And it's a pain, right? But Sale can accomplish just by typing a command.
So it's a natural language. They can basically
Yes.
talk to their system, and it just gives them answers like Jarvis.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Cool. And I'm curious, I have a bunch of questions about the hackathon itself, but did more of the good ideas come from bottom up or top down and more follow the theme, or no real pattern there?
I would say most of the ideas came up because people really felt the need that this has to be addressed and worked on, and they could not get enough time and focus because they felt really passionate about certain aspects of ideas. Like people call like, hey, I need to do this. I do not have time at this point because this certain set of problems, but I'll still make sure that we accomplish it and do it. So it's, hackathon is not driven by regular motivational aspects that comes with the job, right? Hackathon are driven by passion. Hackathon are driven by emotions. You would not find an employee being part of hackathon because, his boss or our boss told him, right? No. It happens because you really feel something. You really have passion about something. You are excited about something. You want to make this world a better place, right? So if you're a hackathon participant, that's innate, that's given, that you really care for this world and make this world a better place, and hence you're participating in hackathon.
And a couple more logistics questions, but so did you do prizes? Were there, obviously there's a huge kind of internal incentive, or I guess T-shirts are on the way.
I know, We're going to be asking you for those. We'll be rocking them.
Yeah, so yes, we do cash prizes as well, but one of the most treasured prize is the hackathon T-shirt. You may be the senior project manager, but if you have not participated in the hackathon, I'm sorry, you would not get the T-shirt, right? And it's not just participation. If you have not submitted a completed project, right, you can, right? It's not like, hey, I have an idea and here's my idea, and then you sit on it and do nothing. No, like very treasured, right? It's a very treasured piece. It's not just a piece of cloth, right? There's a lot of emotion and excitement attached to it, and people wear this with pride. Where people would love to wear, like, people wear this during travel and airport, and then, they are stopped by, like, tell me more about your hackathon and things like that. So it's a very treasured T-shirt that we have within Lookout. So, and you have to have a complete demo or a presentation to get this T-shirt. Just participation, yeah.
This is a long-winded answer to say we cannot have the T-shirt.
Well, unless
you're like, no,
outside
you may
guests.
not. I am not sending you a hackathon T-shirt.
So, but we have other Lookout swags that we can certainly share. But T-shirt, to be honest, is very, very treasured. Yeah. It has to be earned, right? If you participate in hackathon, it has to be earned.
I love that.
Yeah.
Do you guys do 1 a year, 2 a year? Is it more organic than that? How often are these things happening?
So some years we have done 2, some years we have done 1, depending upon the priorities of the projects that engineering and our product team have.
And everyone's allowed to participate, everyone in the company?
Everyone in the company is allowed to participate. In fact, in one of our previous hackathons, one of the finance person was the winner of one of the ideas.
Okay, cool.
Right, so yeah, new novel mechanism of RFP she proposed, and she was one of the winners of Hackathon idea.
See, it's not just for engineers, for people like me.
Yes, it's not just for engineers, and I yell that from the bottom of my lungs, right? Like it is for everyone. Anyone and everyone can participate in Hackathon.
And you said you got someone from finance. Do you get people from, say, sales or marketing and stuff like that?
Yes, of course, yeah. Sales and marketing for sure, but, it's unheard of finance person and getting involved in hackathons, but it has happened, right? Or HR, right? In one of the previous hackathons, we have an HR person involved in hackathon as well.
Well, the crazy thing is those worlds are evolving just as quickly as the R&D worlds are now, like we didn't have LinkedIn, 20 years ago and stuff like that. So you have to kind of keep up with the Joneses there as well.
Yeah. As you can see, right, things like AI or, cybersecurity, it affects every aspect, every function, right? And there's a need for innovation in every function of the organization.
And with your most recent hackathon, was that generative AI? Was that your kind of top-down theme?
Yes, mostly last 2 hackathons has been a generative AI as the top-down theme, like one of our previous products, right? Sale that Lookout launched, right? It was because of the top-down theme of generative AI.
And can we talk about AI? I mean, it's such a fascinating paradigm, and you're in this interesting place of having the technical skills and the legal skills, the business skills, the innovation skills. Like, it's kind of scary, right? I mean, like some companies are like, you have these people, they've been doing their job for their whole career. It looks like it might disrupt your products. It looks like it might disrupt, how you do things. It looks like it might disrupt a lot of things. How are you guys thinking about that? I mean, doing Hackathon's a great idea to let people kind of play with this. But talk me through of like what it feels like, to just, I mean, we're seeing in our business, right? We know we need to integrate it into our product. We know it's going to change the way we do coding and stuff like that. But I'm just curious how Lookout is kind of embracing that challenge and opportunity.
And not to add another layer, but I think that there's another variable of like generative AI technology and security, right? And the conflicts that can arise from that. So adding another layer to Matt's question.
Okay, so let's talk about both. Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Let's talk about both. There is no question that the rapid enhancement in AI, particularly generative AI, will lead to a rapid economic expansion, right? You will see companies, industries, organizations building, economically gaining rapidly. Throughout the history, we have seen that whenever there is a rapid economic expansion, there has been some downsides and negative effects. For example, industrialization, very rapid economic expansion, but that lead to pollution, direct side effect, right? And it was negative. Colonization, rapid expansion to faraway lands, right? Led to colonization. So again, whenever there is sudden, rapid economic expansion, there's invariably a negative downside. We as legal and technical professionals, it's our duty that it's a good thing that generative AI will lead to rapid economic expansion, make this world a better place. But we want to make sure at the same time that we channel, right, with the virtue of our knowledge and skills, we channel this generative AI energy in the right direction and mitigate the negative impacts as much as we can, right? So that during this expansion period, right, the negative impacts are not felt by common people. And then you can narrate a list of all the negative impacts that we want to mitigate and, pay attention to. As far as, Margaret, to your question, security is concerned, for the first time, I've been in the industry for a few years now, right? For the first time, I feel that we as security professionals will eventually have a slight edge with generative AI, right? Because there's always ton of data, but the correlation between the data, the rapid correlation and connection between the data and the meaningful information that can come out of it and manifest from it, right, has been missing. I think generative AI can address that. For example, right, you have a low-level alarm which can get unnoticed by IT service manager, right, on your device. And there's also a low-level alarm on the network, right? You probably understand that, a device on the network. However, because you are running certain set of AI algorithm, right, the algorithm tells you that if you have this low-level alarm here and this low-level alarm here, don't ignore it because combined, they are a high-level alarm. And that is the value of AI. Now, have we reached there yet? Probably not. But I can see that eventually we will be reaching there where we can correlate ton of information and data to get some fast, meaningful information out of it. Because, malicious actors have to be right just one time. We have to be right every time. Right? So I think it's not all doom and gloom with generative AI, to be honest, right? There are a lot of good aspects for good side to it. But as I said, if we can channelize this generative AI in the right direction with the legal and technical professionals, right, we have to come together to make sure the downsides are not there. And we can channelize this in the right way.
That's a great answer. You make me feel a lot calmer about it.
So if I understand you correctly, you're basically saying that instead of the AI driving your car, the AI is watching your network and all these, kind of edge devices. And since it has sort of infinite capacity to kind of can pay attention to a lot more signals and alerts than, say, just a human being. And can correlate those events, and then lead to a more more solid defense posture against some of these threats.
Exactly, right. That's exactly the purpose, that it can digest, right. In our words, it can digest a lot more information very, very fast, right? Because in cybersecurity world, seconds matter, right? So it can digest a lot of information very, very fast, churn meaningful information from it, meaningful, actionable information from it. And it can do that very fast. Algorithms can potentially do that.
Well, I'm sure we could go down that road a lot more steps deeper, because I'm worried now that the spammers have generative AI to throw more stuff
they do.
at you.
It was just the bots going to fight with the bots,
Yes,
But
But I still feel that, we did not have this capability before, right? Just connecting the dots, right? Very simple, right? We did not have this connecting the dots capability before in such an efficient, meaningful, productive way as we have now.
Yep. Yeah, I know just from if there's a single machine on a network, in the early days, you didn't even know that machine was compromised, and it was like, it was either generating a lot of requests or something, and it was like bring down, the overall bandwidth of the network because this one machine's just barfing stuff out. So, and then slowly you got better and better visibility into that. So I think what you're talking about is just kind of the next level of that.
Yeah. So in your example, imagine a world, right, where the network detects, right, sitting on the cloud, that Matt's machine is compromised. It has a specific set of malware. It checks all the devices within networks like, oh, geez, guess what? Although Margaret, his machine does not seem to be compromised, but her machine also has this exactly same malware. Let's cut off both of these devices from the network. So before it spreads to other devices.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
Before, it did not have that capability, but now, just because it can connect dots and it can check Matt's response and Matt's malware on Matt's devices, right? It can check malware on Margaret's, same malware on Margaret's devices as well.
All right, I think we have a pretty good picture into your world, so maybe we can talk a little bit more about the hackathon event itself, or the process itself. So it sounds like we've already talked about, you guys do this about once or twice a year. Everyone's invited, and then you kind of give a top-down theme, generative AI most recently, but you also kind of let people work on whatever they want because you think passion is really, really key and core to kind of working on something that you don't get to work on, during your 9-to-5 job. You just don't have time. So anything we're missing there in terms of the context of, kind of why you guys run hackathons or why you think it's vital?
So the word hackathon, as you can very well imagine, comes from the word marathon.
I thought you were going to say being a security guy.
But it actually comes from marathon, where you have non-stop running, right? Similarly, non-stop coding. Now, my wife is a marathon runner. Some of my close friends are marathon runner. There has been scientific evidences, both anecdotal and large-scale study, that clearly shows that a marathon can actually transform your life. If you run marathon, I've seen so many people that there are certain sets of neural networks that is developed within your brain while you're running that last mile of the marathon, that it completely changes, right? There are articles, scientific evidences, so many things, that it changes your life for good. Similarly, right, I truly believe that hackathons can have that impact on organizations that can truly transform the organizations, right? With new set of thinking. Forget about new products and new services. It's just thinking, right? And challenging the status quo can go so far and so long. So for tech companies, for innovative companies, hackathon is a critical tool to develop that mindset, that thought process, that challenging status quo. Let's keep continuing better things, bigger and faster, disrupt ourselves, right? Things like that.
Matt and I, on the first episode that we recorded, where we kind of gave an overview, we talked about this relationship between innovation, the fear of failure, right, which is kind of at the one end, and play is at the other end, right? And so if those words resonate to you, or if that package of words, how do you think about that in terms of, it feels like a hackathon is permission to both fail and both play, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so try, right? It's perfect. It's a stress-free environment to try. It's perfectly right. One of the rare places in modern world where it's perfectly okay to fail, right? You can show that, hey, we tried this and it does not work, and here's the reason why, so that in future we do not spend our time, energy, resources in going through that path because, well, we already tried that. So there is such a meaningful set of information that comes out of hackathon, even just for trying, because and trying and failing. I've been thinking about this for few months. Let me try that. And it happens a lot, right? During our engineering hackathon, people try and fail and it did not work, and that's perfectly okay. It's a good thing that we did not invest in R&D and then tried that, turning out that it failed later rather than failing it now, because, well, this is safe environment to fail.
So it sounds like we need a different definition of what a successful hackathon project is, right? Because you're saying, obviously, there's the prize money and the good ideas and the whatnot, but it sounds like you're saying that it's a successful hackathon project, even if it fails. So what is success?
Success is, well, your idea was, you presented your idea, turns out that the senior leadership really bought this in, and now we are launching into a successful product like Lookout Sale. Right? That's a successful hackathon. However, if you worked on an idea, it did not ended up in a meaningful product, it still is, I would say, impactful hackathon idea, because we know that we should not go into this direction because of such and such business reasons, right? A lot of time hackathons also involve doing market size and market research. When we dive deeply into it, that there were certain projects that we worked on that you have this hackathon idea, complete successful demo, but you know what? We did market study. We are not going to make enough money. Let's not invest because it's not going to be profitable, right? Even if we can generate revenue from this, let's not invest because it cannot generate profit. So try, fail, it will not work. Try something else.
And internally, are you collecting like the amount of ROI from these hackathons of products that you actually bring to market? Is there a deeper level of quantification of what these do for the business, or is it just so ingrained in the DNA and culture of the organization that you would never not do them?
So two aspects of impacts, ROI impact of hackathon, right? One is measurable, and the other is non-measurable, right? Let's talk about measurable. You have an hackathon idea, you launched a product, generated revenue. It's direct, measurable ROI through hackathons. And non-measurable is things like we tried, we failed, right? You cannot measure such things, right? But it has still so much value behind it. The motivation aspect, right? There is so much value behind it, right? The team building aspects, so many cross department collaboration that happened during hackathon, which does not happen during day-to-day projects, right? So a lot of team building exercise, a lot of trust between the teams, right? I have seen in one of the hackathon, this person, the hackathons were due at, like the demo were due at 6 a.m. Pacific time. This person worked 2 continuous nights because that person felt so passionate about their idea, right? You won't see such kind of things in regular day-to-day jobs where irrespective of what's happening, right? I just want to deliver this, day in and day and night work because this is my project, right? So that's the passion, that's the excitement that hackathons can develop, and it's very important for the organizations.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about it is I have this picture of somebody hacking through the jungle, and when you're doing a hackathon project, oftentimes when you're building software, you have to worry about, does this, have all the, is it compliant with our, in 30 languages and in different time zones and all this like platform level consistency. But with a hackathon, you can just do this kind of spike, this technology spike to just show that this one thing can work, and you don't have to worry about all those other things. I mean, eventually, if you bring that product to market, you can circle back around and do all those things, but you don't really have to worry about those things. You're just, hacking through the jungle to try and get to, say, look, we can do something like this. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and it's not in production level. Compliance is not that big of an issue, right? So you can try. And then if the product is successful or the hackathon is successful, executive leadership likes it, then they decide it. And then legals and compliances and data security, privacy, all of that can be worked later.
So a couple other logistics questions, and then we won't go too long. Sure, we could go, we might have to have you back for another phase 2 of this. But do you guys, does everyone present? Do you take a subset? Do people kind of evaluate the projects and then a subset of people present, or what does your business process look like there?
So the business process, this hackathon we have changed, but in past we have had everyone submitted a 3 to 5 minute video, and then during the presentation sessions, the video is being played, and then the judges would ask questions. And that was really hard on the judges. Previous hackathon judging session went for 6.5 hours straight.
Yeah.
Right. And the judges were like, they were slacking me. It's like, I can't think anymore. I've become numb, right? Like
nothing is exciting anymore.
Yeah, right. Like, exactly. Right. Because after 6, so this hackathon, we changed the process, right? And some of the transformative ideas we chosen to be presented. And then some of the ideas we still have asked to submit the videos. The judges will go and watch it offline. They'll judge it, and then, we decide and declare the winner on June 5th, rather than, like previous hackathons, we declare the winners right then and there.
Got it.
But yeah, just because it's too hard on judges, right? Who has the capability, the mental capability to watch demos for hours and then judge it justifiably?
How many submissions were there after the last hackathon? Like, how many videos are these judges watching?
This time we have changed the format of the hackathon. Previous hackathons, this was only videos. For this hackathon, we encourage more transformative, bigger ideas, right? Into different domains and etc. So this time the judges watched only 5 videos, but they were not just videos, they were live presentations, live question and answers, right? A lot of different aspects. So combination of video, live presentation, demo, live question and answer. Each idea took 30 minutes and things like that. And the videos for smaller ideas, the judges will be watching later.
If we kind of pivot towards the future, what does the future look like? What do you want to achieve going forward? What could be done differently? What's kind of your ideal state that you're heading towards in terms of in running these events?
I want my team to think innovation in every aspect of their day-to-day work, right? So hackathons are great, but what I'm working with the team, and one of the challenge is to continue to use bright idea even outside of hackathon, right? So we have a spike in bright idea use during hackathon, and then it goes down. It should not happen, right? The team should continue to use bright idea, submit ideas, right? Follow-ups, trackings, all of those. And that's one of the challenges. And, if you think in terms of engineering resources, it's hard, right? But as a director of innovation, that's my challenge as well, to keep helping team think on innovation front. If they are doing something new, at least a bare minimum, submit an idea. We can follow up with a later, but it's not like, there was something that we were thinking 4 months back. What was that? I forgot about it because I did not take a note of it. Right? That should not happen. Right? In any organization, a brilliant idea can come from anywhere, anytime. I've been in patent industry and innovation industry for 2 decades. Some of the best ideas that I have worked on and some of the best patents I've worked on, just because I had a conversation with someone in the elevator, we came up with few patents, right? One of my friend, his wife took a nap, and this guy had nothing to think about or talk about, and he came up with like 2 brilliant ideas, right? So, right, so that's what I'm saying, right? The innovation and patents, right? These are things that's a lot driven by motivation and passion, right? So that has to be part of a constant DNA rather than sporadic, right? Occasional, like hackathon, right? It has to be continuous, and it's a challenge that I'm working with my team.
It feels like the biggest challenge with that is the need for space. Like both of those examples that you're talking about, the person had enough mental space to be able to think creatively. And so how do you build that into your team?
One of the ideas that we discussed is to have every second Friday or third Friday, have 4 hours to yourself on any project you worked on, right? Some like Google has that, and I'm sure some other companies has that. So
20%.
One of the it's something like that, right? So that was some of the ideas that were discussed within our organization, to have that mental space to think creatively, to work on projects.
It's a really weird thing, because I think if you sit any executive down, you say, is innovation important? Creative thinking is, disrupting the status quo important? They all agree it is, but then they kind of go back to their day job, and they've got the quarterly target they've got to hit, and they've got, earnings. And it is a unique thing in that people recognize it's important, but day in and day out, it's sort of hard to keep top of mind and hard to create that space on an ongoing basis.
Yeah, Horizon 1 versus Horizon 2, as you probably know, right? It's always a battle between Horizon 1 and Horizon 2, right?
Yep.
What do we do now, and what do we do 6 months, 1 year down the line?
Yep.
Right, and it's always a balancing play that we as leaders have to play.
And I think it's so satisfying and feeling productive to check things off your to-do list. And it's very hard to say, yes, I had a great work day. I sat and thought about something that I didn't solve for 4 hours. It's not our human nature to be like, oh, that was great. That feels good, you know?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like while I was driving and, I had these 2 great ideas while I was driving, right? Those are not billable, right? You cannot charge.
Right.
So yeah, it's a challenge.
You got to get creative with your billing.
Yes.
All right. I think we've covered a good amount of all this stuff. Any words of wisdom or insights you have for someone who maybe is just getting started or hasn't run a hackathon before, or they're trying to convince their boss or something along those lines?
So 2 things, right? Even if it's challenging, if you are trying to run hackathon, do it, because you may not be very successful in the projects in first or second run. But the bigger thing here is not the projects in itself. It's the challenging the mindset, right? Once you are able to address that mindset aspect, the projects and the ideas and all of that will follow through. But just to nudge them, gently force them into that thinking of challenging the status quo, that should be the aim of hackathon runners. That we want to develop that challenging mindset in people's DNA. Once you get that, right, your job becomes so much easier. In other companies that I've worked for, once you instigate enough passion, people would ping you day in and day, like, hey, I have this idea, I have another idea, right? So you want to get there. Right. So it's all about motivation. Once you motivate rightly, motivation is real important piece for innovation. Once you motivate people rightly, a lot of things fall. And the personal relation is a key aspect here. It's difficult to scale, but for mid-sized organization, developing personal relation with the innovators goes such a long way. Like such a long way, I can't even imagine. I think it's all about developing personal relation, because you can talk to them, motivate them individually, and then people will come up with great ideas.
And so you're watching these hackathons, you're watching the people that maybe for the last couple years have come with really interesting ideas. Do you have a short list of innovators within your company that you try to keep tabs on to make sure that they're motivated and that they've got what they need to do creative stuff?
Oh yeah, I have one-on-ones with top people, just random one-on-ones, right? No agenda. We just talk,
just
right?
Picking your brain.
Yeah, just pick your brain. Sometimes it's not even work related, and that's okay, right? Yeah. It's just developing that relationship, right? And then building trust with each other. That goes a very, very, very long way, right? So just one-on-ones with top innovators. Yeah.
That's very smart as head of innovation to be keeping personal relationships and making sure that those folks are happy in both their life and their work.
Yeah, and as I said, right, a lot of times it's not even, the conversation is not even work, right? I know the name of their kids, or where did they go for vacation, right? Or what did they eat for dinner yesterday evening, things like that, right? So yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Margaret and I actually had a separate conversation around innovation mindset and how you have these innovation teams that they're on the team, right? They're drinking the Kool-Aid. But then the question is, how do you get all the other people to have that, just a manager who runs a team of, say 3 people or 5 people, how do you get them to have that mindset that, we can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. We have to, look at what can be done new and different today that wasn't possible just a few years ago. Yeah.
Mindset, as you said, Matt, is the key ingredient of all we do in our jobs, right? It's all about the mindset.
Well, I think we've got some great stuff here. I'm kind of, breaking character here for a second. I think this has been awesome. Certainly, just like in the hackathon, I want to leave things open-ended. If there's anything you think we haven't covered that, you want to cover off on.
Yeah, I have a specific topic to cover, but that will probably take half an hour, because I have a list of things that actually Bright Idea helped me to solve and made my life so much easier. But I don't think we can cover
Get
all
this
of that.
guy on a case study.
Yeah. I mean,
like really, deleted entries, or the ease with how the teams are made, or collaboration in comment section, or follow-ups on ideas, or scoring by judges, or voting, right? All of these things, right? It is so painful to manage all of that in spreadsheet. I can't even tell you. Like, I have had nightmares, right? And then, right. It's like, right. It is so painful to manage like 30 different things in spreadsheets.
well, no one would accuse me of being a great self-promoter, but I can honestly say that this podcast is really not intended to be just about Bright Idea. It really is, one of the reasons we are using our Synthesize brand, which is our old conference, is because that was always for customers, by customers. And it was really just about the practitioners being able to speak to each other and share their tips and tricks and share what it's like being on the front lines and in the trenches. So I think you hit the ball out of the park here in terms of like just letting people peer into your world and understand the motivations and understand the challenges and the difficulties and what's working. And I think anyone who listens to this is going to, feel like more informed or more inspired to go do some of their own work. So I really appreciate you taking the time, Pritesh, today. And maybe we'll have you back for another round and we can go into some more of the details we didn't get to.
Yeah. And it's an honor, Matt and Margaret, to be part of this podcast. Excited.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, this is exciting. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you for listening to the Synthesize Pod. For more resources on how to bring innovation to the forefront of your organization, sign up for our newsletter at brightidea.com. That's BRIGHTIDEA.com. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode.